Thanks for staying with ENCA. Murder-accused former police officer Nomia Rosemary Ndlovu has put the spotlight on insurance fraud. The 43-year-old is facing several charges, including murder, attempted murder, fraud, and defeating the ends of justice. She was arrested in March 2018 for allegedly masterminding the deaths of 6 family members to claim insurance payouts. To talk to us more about this and how this could have possibly been prevented, we are now joined by the head of Old Mutual Actuaries Consultants, Craig Atchison. Thanks so much for your time, Craig. I think this story has left many people wondering how easy it is to actually insure someone and how easy it is to be done without the person's consent.
Good morning, Heidi, and good morning to everybody watching today. Absolutely, I think this case has showcased that fortunately cases like this are extremely rare in the industry, but fraud is a problem that all insurers are battling. I think that there's been very good progress, and one of the things that this case highlights is the principle in the insurance industry called insurable interest. Insurable interest says that there must be some link, some connection or interest between you and somebody that you want to cover with a policy. You cannot take a policy out on your neighbor or a stranger. Usually this means that it has to be a family member or perhaps a business partner or someone you cohabit with. And that's a very important rule in this case, both at the point of the sale of a policy and also should a claim be made. Insurable interest will be checked, and where there isn't insurable interest, no claim will be paid. All that will happen is the premiums that have been paid will be paid back. So that's one of the key safety mechanisms that help us in the fight against fraud.
Sure. Surely thorough due diligence should have been done. I mean, this didn't happen for one insurance policy that was paid out. It allegedly happened 6 times.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, every time a policy is taken out, there's a process where the rules of the policy, principles like insurable interest are explained. The policyholder obviously signs and attests to that. And any information they give that's not true will come into account when they try and claim at a later stage. There's also, when a claim comes in, it is studied very carefully. Insurers have teams of people who are on the lookout for any suspicious signs, anything that's out of the ordinary. And cases like that would then be investigated. And if need be, even the SA police force be brought in to investigate.
Sure, and then this begs the question of whether or not an individual is red flagged or marked as suspicious or of concern, because as I mentioned, again, it didn't happen once, it happened 6 times. You know, these payouts were made 6 times. You know, isn't there a process where insurance companies are able to red flag an individual to say, this person has claimed more than once, or this person has claimed 6 times. Surely there's an issue here. And shouldn't there be a process in place to say, if somebody's red flagged, it should only happen once or twice if it happens, so that it doesn't end up happening 6 times?
Yeah, absolutely, Heidi. There is actually red flag processes that insurers use. And it's not just people claiming that are on those lists. Remember that to claim, there is a bunch of other role players involved. Sometimes you will find that doctors are the ones helping fraud, because they issue false documentation that leads to a false death certificate. Sometimes it's funeral parlors that are also involved. So all of these, as the trends are picked up, as that information is picked up, go onto, as you call it, these red flag lists, and should they crop up again, they go into an investigation phase.
And just looking at the story, I mean, one begs the question how easy it is to actually carry out fraud. Is there not a lengthy process, and shouldn't those that are being insured be informed about this?
So the rule about being informed does vary by policy. There are heavier requirements when one is taking out a policy for one's spouse. And there are a lot of policies on the market where when you take out a policy, you need to show evidence that you have notified and gained consent from that person. But that doesn't apply to every policy. So what we use is a couple of mechanisms. One of them is interviews like this and education to make people aware of what's happening. Another aspect that people can look out for is in the case where policies are taken out using their details without their knowledge, is to keep a careful watch out on their bank accounts or pay slips, to look out for any strange deductions there, which they can then follow up with the insurer and the police.
Great. Thanks so much for that insight. We really do appreciate it. That is Craig Atchison from Old Mutual.